Good morning, guys. Welcome to another episode. In this video, I'm going to talk about why I switched from the Nikon D850 to the Nikon Z7ii. So when I was debating on switching to this camera, I was really taking into consideration the type of photography that I do, because the Z system on the Nikon is really limited right now as far as lens selection. There's a couple other things that other cameras do better, including the D850. So when I thought about it, I do three types of photography, and that's landscape, nightscape, astrophotography, and time lapses. And looking back and seeing the lenses that I use on the D850, all my f-mount lenses, I don't really use any wildlife lenses for the most part. I do wildlife on the occasion, but I'll go rent them. So the lens selection wasn't a factor. I mean, it is really nice that these other systems have a lot more of a lens selection, and that's something that I think hopefully Nikon can fix real soon. But the thing that I needed was lightweight, because I do a lot of hiking. And then because I print large, the one thing that I really like about the Z lenses is the quality of their lenses. Now, the lens selection isn't great, but the quality of lenses is much better than the F-mount. I mean, they are miles ahead as far as quality, and because I like to print my photos, the lens quality is a big deal. You know, I've had this camera only for, about a month, maybe. This is only the third time I've taken it out shooting, but I've had the Z6 that I'm shooting the video on right now, and using the 24-70 f4 and this 20mm 1.8 that I have, I mean, it is absolutely superb. I just think that they're so much better than the f-mount lenses, and for printing, that's a big deal to me. One of the characteristics of the S line on these lenses is they're focused by wire. There's no infinity sign, there's no symbol to know when you're at infinity focus, but there's a trick to this, and it works great for things like astrophotography and for time lapses, and that is to turn the camera off. Put the lens in manual mode, turn the camera back on. It's automatically set to infinity. That's its default. That's where it goes to as soon as you turn the camera on, making sure that the lens is in manual focus. So that's great for night shooting. When one of the biggest things that I see from myself and from workshop participants that I've done astrophotography workshops with, that's their biggest problem, is focusing at night and getting those stars nice and sharp. But with these types of lenses, it's really easy. You just turn it to manual mode, then turn the camera on, you're at infinity, and there's no adjustments needed, which is super nice. Alright guys, it's looking like it's going to be a really nice sunrise. We got some high altitude clouds. Sun's getting ready to come up here in a few minutes, and I think we're going to get a nice colorful sunset. So one of the nice features of the Z7ii compared to the D850 is the focus points go all the way to the edge of the frame. The D850 doesn't do that, and that really works well for landscape photography as far as focus stacking goes. So I have this cholla cactus I'm standing in front of, and I'm right up close to it. And I want to be able to focus on like this really close branch here of this cactus, and in order to do that, I need to be able to focus right here down at the bottom of the camera, at the bottom of the frame. So being able to use that focus point down there is really nice, where I couldn't do that with the D850, so I had to stand a little bit further back and sometimes shoot a little bit wider than I wanted to, just so I can include that immediate foreground. With this camera, you don't have to do that, which is really nice. Now, it's not a huge deal for landscape photographers, but it's a really nice feature. It's not as much as maybe like wildlife or something like that, but I think it's a positive and definitely a point over the D850. So one of the other features that I think is huge, I mean, this is a big deal for astrophotographers and also for people who do long exposures a lot. One of the features on here is something called the extended shutter. This is huge. So now in camera, I'm able to do up to 30 minutes of exposure time. That is crazy. So before, in the D850, Z6, all these other ones, and I think every other camera that I can think of, you can only go up to 30 seconds in camera. It goes like 15, 20, 25, 30 seconds. Well, now the Z7ii can go all the way up to 30 minutes. So that's just absolutely massive. So instead of before, what I'd have to do is either put it in bulb mode, have a shutter release to hold down the button, or have one of those locks to lock it down and then release it whenever the time is up. Or I would put it on timer mode. So I would hit the button once, and then set my watch or whatever, and then when it's over, when the time is up, then I would have to hit the shutter button again, causing maybe a little bit of camera shake or something like that. So the fact that I don't have to do that now, I can do everything in camera and just leave it, hit the button once, set my 2-second timer, is absolutely crazy. You have to have it in manual mode to do that. You can't do it in aperture priority or something like that, so it's got to be in manual mode. But man, that's absolutely huge. All right, it looks like we're starting to get a really nice sunrise. The color's starting to come out, which is absolutely beautiful. I picked a good morning to do this video. It's been clear skies for a long time, and it's mid-September. Yesterday it was 106 degrees, so it's already walking up here. It was already getting really hot. I think we're about over this 100-degree weather now. It's yeah, it's not fun. So there is one thing that I'm not a big fan of. It's not a big deal, but it's kind of annoying. Something that was actually brought up to me by my buddy Jay, and that is when you turn the camera off, if you have it set to like a 2-second interval when you're shooting for the shutter release, when you turn it off, it automatically goes back to either continuous high or single shot mode. So if I put it on single shot mode, turn the camera off, it'll remember that. So when I turn it back on, it'll still be on single shot. The same with continuous high. So if I turn the camera off after turning it to continuous high and I turn the camera back on for something like wildlife, it'll remember that, and that's good. For wildlife especially, that's important. But for some reason, if you put it on the 2-second timer and turn it off, it goes back to continuous high. And I don't know why that is. Like I said, not a big deal, because landscape photography, generally you're not in too much of a hurry. So it's a quick adjustment. At the bottom of the camera, it's a button to push really quick. It's not that big a deal, but it can be kind of annoying. So I guess it's better than the opposite. If you're a wildlife shooter and it goes to like 2-second timer or single shot or something. So like I said, not a big deal, but slightly annoying. It's something that I don't understand why it couldn't be a quick fix software update or something where it just remembers the last mode you were in. That's it. The D850 had the dial up on top, and there was many times where I actually missed wildlife shots. If I had to switch real quick and wanted to take a wildlife shot while I was out, I would still have it on the 2-second timer. So again, that's a give and take, and not a huge deal, but again, something that's it's a little annoying. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, another thing that I do is time lapses. Now the time lapse functions on here are pretty similar to the D850. There's not much that has changed other than that nice feature with the S lenses and that focus by wire. If I ever want to do the in-movie time lapse feature, if the light was changing like a sunrise or a sunset, the D850, it was unusable. The amount of flicker as the exposure is changing, it was just, you can't use it. It's absolutely terrible. But for the Z6, if I would put it in aperture priority and a sunrise or a sunset or something, everything was it smoothed it out. There was no flicker at all. For whatever reason, the D850 didn't do a great job, but the Z6 did. So I'm excited to do that with the Z7ii. I want to try that out. Most of the time I take single images and then put it together in LR time lapse. I do prefer that, but on the occasion I want to just do a quick and dirty, sunset or sunrise time lapse as B-roll or something. That's a huge feature with the Z cameras. I can do that. I can set it to aperture priority, and the time lapse is a really high quality. I can do 4K, obviously, 8K if I want to do the photos. So that's, like I said, time lapses are a big deal for me. You guys that have watched my videos know that every time I do videos out when we're out vlogging and stuff, I'm always doing time lapses. I enjoy doing time lapses. I like the way they look. So the fact that this has even better features as far as doing that in-movie camera, and then the features itself are better than any other camera out there. Better than the Sonys, better than the Canons. Just the amount of features for time lapses is far above any other brand, as far as I'm concerned anyway. All right, I think I might try and get greedy here. I need to see where this the sun is going to come up, because I might try and get a second photo. We got a really nice sunrise. I got some nice color. I like the composition. But I want to see So the sun's going to come up right over here and it's going to wash across this way. So I think I might try and get a second photo. So I'm going to move a little bit, see if I can find a second composition, and see if I can get a shot. Alright, trying to vlog this at the same time is probably not the best idea. Now I gotta hurry. I just got done saying that landscape photography, you don't really get into a hurry, but I am a liar. Always in a hurry, every time. I'm so indecisive too, like I'll get a shot and I gotta get greedy. I'm like, oh, let me get another one. Instead of just like shooting through and, you know, as the light changes, just getting different versions of that one composition. I gotta run around and take 10 different photos, and that's the way I am. Alright, so I'm doing a little bit of a focus shift now. The sun's just popping over the horizon and I am sweating like crazy. It is, man, it is hot. So, one thing I did want to talk about is the lenses that I do have. So I have the 20mm 1.8 that I'm shooting on right now, the 24-70 f4 that I'm shooting this video on, the 70-200 f2.8, and then the 1.4 teleconverter. I'm already missing that 14-30. For a scene like this, I prefer even wider than 20mm. You know, 14, 15, 16 is really good for these up close shots because it really stretches that foreground. And so yeah, that 14-30 f4 is something that I'm looking forward to getting. I debated the 14-24 f2.8, but with this 20mm 1.8, it's such a good astro lens. I took it to Joshua Tree back in June and it was absolutely fantastic. You know, I shot all night with it, did some time lapses and things, and actually printed a couple of photos for some clients, and it was absolutely beautiful. Beautiful lenses, and man, I had such a great time shooting with it that this is my go-to astrophotography lens. You know, it's even better than the 20mm 1.8 G lens for the F-mount Nikon DSLR. So like I said, you can't beat it. And then the lightweight of the 14-30 f4, because like I said, I do a lot of hiking. It's absolutely fantastic. So that'll be the next lens that I pick up, hopefully here pretty soon. Okay, so I stopped one more time on the way out. I was getting ready to hike out of here, and I found this little field of choyas here. And I wanted to do a horizontal composition, which I don't normally do with a wide angle lens, but because I have a really wide area right here, I can fill the entire width of the frame with some interesting foreground. So that's what I'm doing now. I just set up really quickly, taking a focus stack shot, and part of it is in shade here, and I'm gonna wait for just a couple of minutes till I get a little bit more light here in this choy here in the immediate foreground. And all right, guys, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. It is getting hot, so I'm going to get out of here, but I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.